Every entrepreneur has a story. Welcome to Happy Half Hour with an Entrepreneur, where each episode your host, Brian Carney, will share a drink with a successful business owner and have them discuss their unique journey, gaining insight on what it takes to be an entrepreneur and the different ways to get there. Brian isn't just a beer nerd, he's also the co-founder of River's Edge Advisors, a financial planning firm headquartered in Delaware, specializing in working with business owners. It's time to pour yourself a drink and enjoy a happy half hour with an entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Happy Half Hour with an Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Brian Carney. My guest today is Lee Podolsky, the owner of a women-led business called Breakwater Accounting and Advisory Corp. Lee started her career at Dupont, and the birth of her first daughter was the catalyst to change her career. 6 years ago, she started Breakwater, and they had 2 employees and 15 clients. Now there are over 40 employees and over 200 clients. So Lee, I'm excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. So first let's get the beer business out of the way. So the last 4 episodes I've done, I've been drinking a Hazy IPA. So I'm going to be doing that again today. This is from Cape May Brewing Company down in New Jersey. It's called Always Ready. So we'll give this a rating by the end of the show.
Always Ready. I like the name.
It is a good name, right?
Yeah.
So what are you going to be drinking today?
Since it's like a hot summer day, I'm having a glass of Pinot Grigio. It's actually called Baron Fini, Fini.
Perfect. Love it. Well, it is. It's like 90 degrees here today. So it'll be very refreshing. Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's start from the top. Tell us a little bit about your business as it is today.
So Breakwater Accounting and Advisory, we provide outsourced bookkeeping and accounting for small to mid-sized businesses. And a big piece also are nonprofits, like nonprofit organizations of all sizes. Never knew how many nonprofits are out there, but it's been a great working relationship with that segment. We also do have some private clients that we do some sort of like part-time family office work.
Oh, that's great.
One of the big things about Breakwater that kind of sets us apart, because outsourced bookkeeping and accounting sounds so incredibly boring. We love it, but but the big piece is we embrace technology. So we're really in tune with all the fintech out there, and our whole goal every time is to streamline how things are being done and kind of modernize the back office so that people are getting data a lot faster. It's more real time, so that we can spend more time on the value add of like helping advise and talk through what the numbers mean versus just trying to get them reports 5 months later. So so that's kind of what sets us apart a bit, is we really do teach a lot and implement a lot of technology for our clients.
You're so right about that. Fintech, that word has gotten super popular now. And if you're not really on the cutting edge of retirement, you're making your clients' lives more difficult. And in fact, you're making your business more difficult to handle internally. So it is a huge, huge advantage to be technologically advanced.
Very much so. Yes.
So when you do private businesses, is there any niche you have or any sort of, size that you deal with?
I'd say probably the sweet spot of like the most clients have annual revenue of like 1 to 15 million.
Okay.
Because, but it depends. Like, it's not really based on revenue. It's based on, whether you really need to start having an actual staff of accountants, if you need full-time people. But the great thing with us is a lot of people they don't realize it, but they don't need a full-time person. They need a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yep. And that's what we can do. So we sort of put together the right skill sets in the team for that role. Yep. And so a lot of times we end up doing things in probably like 20 to 30% of the time that a full-time person is, just because they don't have the resources and the different skill sets.
And you guys do it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a lot of times when people hear accounting work, they think tax returns.
Exactly. And that is what we do not do.
Right.
We do everything up to that. And that's by choice, because we can then hand it off. And so we don't want to we're not in the compliance world. We do help, with sales tax recording and payroll filing and all that stuff. But as far as we're more on the, on the business partner side, like really getting them the data they need day to day and helping them understand that so that they can make informed decisions. And then we hand off, we work with their tax accountant, we work with their auditors and hand everything over clean, which also is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a huge benefit to business owners, because most business owners want to run their work in their business, not really deal with the numbers. And you can't really tell how successful your business is unless you actually know your numbers. So to have an outsourced team to be able to say, hey, this is what last quarter means for you, or last year, or how you're growing. And that's a huge advantage for a business owner.
And it really is such a sigh of relief for them, because a lot of them are doing this like at night. It's so stressful for them, just trying to keep up. They're doing it at night, on the weekends, and like they're just, and it's just like an afterthought, which it shouldn't be. Right. So I think it really, really relieves a lot of stress, which was our goal.
That's a great point. Yeah. So you start your career in Dupont, you have your first daughter, and then you start doing some bookkeeping for your dad. How does that even turn into 40 employees and 200 clients?
Never even, darn that first kid. Now, I was laser focused on corporate career at Dupont. It was there for 10 years, and then this little being comes into, like, I went right back to work like 10 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
Was just not going to skip a beat. And then like 3 months later, I was like feeling so guilty. I was like, I can't do this. I need to take some more time off. And then I went and said, well, maybe I could do this part-time. Well, that was back in the day when they did not understand part-time. They gave
Not
me a full-time job that I could do in 24 hours a week, which is kind of stressful. So I tried that for a bit, but realized, so that was really the catalyst for me to leave the corporate world. And, but because I still needed some kind of intellectual, adult intellectual challenge. Yeah. I just started helping my dad with his consulting firm, his bookkeeping, started helping friends out. I would do, always be elected treasurer or assistant treasurer at different nonprofits, go figure. And so I learned a lot just through all of that, and just was very active. And that's really how I learned QuickBooks and sort of the smaller business type accounting software. And then, so I did that for a long time. I did sort of freelance bookkeeping and accounting while the girls were growing up, and didn't start Breakwater till 2014, once I had a 16-year-old who was, wasn't going to need me to drive her around anymore. Yeah. And they were in full-time, sports and all that. So I could really go after something I wanted at that time. And I really, it was just over those years of helping businesses, and then me being only one person, realizing, gosh, there's really a need here. Yeah. And they're not getting what they need from their tax accountants. I couldn't help but a certain number of people. So I was like, how can I help more? And so that's where I was really into following the accounting software and like the cloud accounting and all of the stuff that was available. And that's when I thought that was ready. Yep. And that I could have a team and collaborate. That's when I launched Breakwater.
So you didn't envision it being what it is now.
Definitely.
What did you envision it being? What did you expect?
I do not even know. I just jumped in with both feet. I was a little bit crazy that way. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm excited. And I don't think I had like a whole plan and just getting the word out there, but I didn't really ever have like an end goal on like, okay, it has to be this amount or this number of people or this number of clients or anything. I just wanted to like keep expanding our client, getting new clients and learning about their business and everything. Yeah. And, you look up five years later, it's like, whoa. I mean, I was just like, we were all like head down, just working. Yeah. And then it's like, whoa. And everyone's like, gosh, we got to like 1.5 million revenue in 5 years and had all these employees and a great group and team. And everyone's like, so what's your plan for the next 5 years? And I was like, oh my gosh.
Logical question.
Yeah, I need to think about this. So anyway, we got all re-energized, have a great new plan. And now we're like really in it to grow it, because we know we can. Because all of our growth has been through word of mouth, which is pretty darn amazing.
Yeah, that really is amazing.
Yeah. So so we know we're doing something right. we know there's a need. So we're all in. We're going to keep going.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I think the way that you hire people is, and the background that you sort of provide is really what you experienced. So a lot of your employees, so correct me if I'm wrong, of the 40 employees, you have 38 women. Is that correct?
So yeah, even more now. But we have 4 brave men. And that was not it was not by design. Like
Sure.
I didn't have a plan for that, but yeah, we are definitely unique, and we have at least 38 women.
Yeah.
And all of the leadership team women. And it's really we sort of hit on something where, because of what I had gone through and was trying to manage my life and children and working and everything else, we wanted to provide that to other people. And it was a way to get some really great, intelligent women who just couldn't give all 40 hours, but like wanted something to keep themselves challenged. And so the first few years we only had part-time people, plus me,
wow,
who was working 24/7, but we had a lot of part-time people, and that's how we started. So it was, the word got out, like, oh my gosh, this is great. I can go in, while my kids are in school, and then I can go pick my kids up. So I think that just having that work-life balance has been really great.
Absolutely.
Also training, the training to get back in the workforce. Like we really spend time getting everybody up to speed. We're very advanced on all of the technology we use. So it's also a good thing to get your skills all tuned up to get back out there.
I think that is an amazing way that it all kind of turned out, because, my wife stayed at home when we had kids for a while. And then you could tell, like, she got to a certain point and she sort of said, all right, I'm ready I have more time, but I can't go back to work full time because I still need to be around for the kids. But, to try to have that ability to scratch that itch for, some sort of business life is a huge advantage for your employees. So that's been tremendous.
It's been great. And I think it really helps build sort of that team environment that we have. So everybody's all in and they so enjoy each other, so it was hard during COVID, all being remote, but we found other ways to stay connected, through, we just use Zoom now and Slack and other ways to stay, keep that culture.
Well, so speaking of culture, I definitely want to ask you, if you look at, your website, your marketing materials, and, you go into your office, you can just feel that everyone is together and you have a great culture. Besides the, common denominator of a lot of your employees, coming out, having children and dealing with the struggles of work-life balance, if you will.
Yeah.
How else have you been able to build such an incredibly vibrant, positive, and really kind of a contagious culture?
It was definitely, I think, just that was one of the main principles for Breakwater is positive. I mean, who wants to go to you don't want to dread going to work.
It's so true.
Especially if you're only giving, you're getting like 4 hours or 5 hours a day. You want to go someplace you're looking forward to going to, people you enjoy. So that was a key thing. Like, we're going to be a positive workplace. And so it's just not even accepted there that you would go in there being a pill. And if you are, you need to go in timeout. Go home. But we've been really lucky, and we know you can read people as we're who would be good fits, that we want positive, enthusiastic, proactive people who are very team oriented. And that team, I think if you ask anybody who works at Breakwater, if you ask them what the number one thing they love about it, it's the team, it's the group. So that's really key. And so it's contagious. You're right. Once it starts, like, everybody loves that part of it. And no one wants to disrupt that. So.
That's great. That's incredible. So let's talk about sort of the flip side to that. You expand so rapidly, admittedly, unexpectedly. Yeah. There has to be some growing pains. What did you see as the most difficult part of growing? Gosh,
there are lots of them. But the good news is every single, and we made mistakes, and we still do. Like, we learn from our mistakes. That's the key, right? Learn from each mistake. So learning, like, the right people, learning from making bad hires, what works, what doesn't, learning who your ideal clients are. So you're not, and being able to quickly identify and move off any draining clients, really it's a learning process. And so it can be very painful, but I think also the growing quickly part is the biggest pain point for us has been taking the time to build infrastructure so that we can continue to grow. And so that I think, we're really great at the all of our client work and like what we do.
Sure.
But the internal part is for me more painful. Like, okay, we've got to make sure, because now we're growing, we have more people, we've got to make sure everything is set up to accommodate that and for them. So
that infrastructure or operations piece, I find insanely difficult, and you need skilled people that actually like to do that. I always find it, so you get certain business owners and they're down in the weeds and organizational or operation stuff, and it just kind of sucks the energy. Are you into that, or are you more like that kind of sucks your energy? You'd rather be.
It sucks my energy.
Yeah.
But so that's why probably it's been so painful for me. But I have great people who do love to do that, and so they're helping. You can't be great at everything. I love and get energized by helping out our clients or problem solving with our teams who are helping their clients. So that's where I get my juice.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, you bring up the hiring piece. I find that to be, I feel like most business owners struggle with that piece at some point until they get it figured out. That whole, what is it, hire slow, fire quick type of mentality. It really is much easier said than done. Have you found that in your experience too?
Very much so. And it's hard sometimes because we just learned that we were giving people way too many chances.
Yeah.
Like it is bad, like, because other, the top performers are seeing that, right? You don't want to see that that's acceptable. So we've gotten better and better. It's still hard because it's people.
Real people. Yeah, you're right.
We're always trying to make, well, maybe let's try to figure, we always go every which way to try to figure out how to make it work before we have to do that. Yeah. But yes, it is a big piece is once you know it, you got to cut it.
Yep. Exactly. What would you say your business superpower is, the thing that you're the best at?
Our business?
I mean, you personally.
Oh, me personally?
Yeah.
I think, listening, really listening, listening to our people, listening to our clients. I think that is the biggest, most important skill.
Yeah.
To have, because we are listening. So we're actually meeting the client needs, we're meeting the employee needs, really actually listening and being in tune, and we do care.
Yeah.
And then I think that has spread to all of us. We all really care about our clients, and I love that.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Well, that kind of brings up the fact. So you went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, very proud Tar Heel alum.
Yes. Very proud Tar Heel.
So you're a business major, but you had a psychology minor. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine when you're 20 years old, 19 years old, and you pick this track, you have no idea that there at some point in your life is going to be a cross section of those two subjects. Exactly. How have you seen that kind of transpire with some of your clients, where you see that cross section, that intersection of business and psychology?
Oh my gosh. Of course I had no idea. I just loved my psychology courses, and it ended up realizing I had enough to minor in it, but I just really enjoyed those classes. But my gosh, now I would actually recommend it, because it is so helpful in everything you do when you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, when you're dealing with people's finances, it's very personal and very stressful.
Very emotional.
I feel like part of our job always is a little bit of therapist counselor.
Yeah. I think you're right.
It really does come in handy.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think behavioral finance is such a strong pull for a lot of people. And you saw that happen a lot during I think COVID is going to be, 2020 is probably going to be one of the greatest behavioral finance exercises in the entire history of the United States. So, to be able to help ease some financial anxiety for your clients, I think is a huge, huge benefit to them.
And just being a sounding board and being there and letting them know you're there with them.
Yeah.
You want them to succeed. a big piece. And it certainly during COVID and the whole pandemic, that was even more needed.
Yes.
And I think really strengthened our relationships with our clients, because
That's
we
where
were in there with it. We were fighting to get them their paycheck protection program money, fighting to get that forgiven. Like we were in it with them.
Yeah. And that listening thing comes in. You're talking to business owners in literally a time of crisis, and to know that their accounting team is listening to them is probably huge.
That listening, and that we care, we'll do whatever we can because we want them to win.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of UNC, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you who your most hated Duke basketball player is of all time.
Every UNC alum has at least one most hated Duke basketball player. It's
Absolutely
just a requirement. They're usually 10.
Yeah.
But my number one is Christian Laettner.
Of course.
And I just can't forget him. I can't forget his name. I can't forget that 1992 game against Kentucky, because what also happens is we root against Duke.
Sure.
It's just, even if Carolina is not playing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just that, I don't know what happened to me. Like, it's just 4 years there and that's it.
Yeah. That shot from Kentucky was actually at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. So, have you seen the documentary about Christian Laettner? There's a ESPN 30 for 30, and it's called "I Hate You, Christian Laettner."
This is so funny.
You might not want to watch it because it makes him actually way more likable. So I understand your pain. So
my husband, I guarantee you, my husband has seen that, and he will likely, after this podcast, make me watch it, and I will probably do so. But if he were on this, he would go on for the next 30 minutes about Duke with you.
Who's his least favorite player? What do you say?
I think it's Christian Laettner.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have that shared, because we both were together watching that game. I'll never forget it. But
of course. So I have my favorite basketball player, college basketball player of all time, is like one of the most random North Carolina players ever. And that's Dante Calabria. And he graduated, I remember watching him when I was younger, and I loved him for some reason. So that is very odd.
No, it's not at all. I remember I liked him too. You definitely have your favorites. Every sort of 4 years, you sort of find your favorites at Carolina.
I remember there being an article in Sports Illustrated about how much Dante Calabria loved Pearl Jam, and I happened to love Pearl Jam at the time, and I'm like, I love this guy. He's awesome. Anyway.
So that cemented it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about COVID for a second. How did that affect? Obviously, your clients are going through almost literal hell.
Right.
How did that affect Breakwater?
It was really all hands on deck, because it was at first when COVID hit, my gosh, everyone, nobody knew what was going to happen or whatever. So it was like, okay, first of all, our people, the great part is, thank goodness, we were already set up to be able to work remotely, because everything we have is cloud-based. That's
great.
I mean, all of our entire network is on Amazon Workspace, which is out in Oregon. So we were set and ready. And so that was awesome, because we could very quickly have everybody working from home. So that was number one, getting everybody up, ready, make sure security, all that is, because that's so important to what we do. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, at the same time, immediately doing triage on checking in with every single one of our clients, figuring out where they were in sort of the risk area, what they needed help with, trying to keep up to date on the paycheck protection program and the multiple changes and
so many iterations
and every week it was new. So really having to have a dedicated team to stay on top of that, so we could be the resource and the experts in that.
Yep.
I mean, so it was big. And of course, everyone was home, stressed, so it was a lot, but we all were in it. We're all stronger because of it. So, and even what also was helpful, those last few clients that would not embrace cloud technology, we got them. They're sold now. They're okay, now I understand.
Now I get it. Yeah.
Now I can operate and no problem.
That's great.
So that was good too.
Yeah, for sure. So you've been racking up awards for the last couple of years. So, you won the Delaware Today Women in Business. You're an honoree for that. The company won Fastest 50 by the Delaware Business Times. And then you recently were last 2 weeks ago, right? You were named to the 2021 Honor Circle of Women Innovators and Entrepreneurs by the University of Delaware School of Entrepreneurship, correct?
Yes.
So which, obviously, is there an award or a recognition that means the most to you in all these, in your trophy case?
So everyone will tell you who works for me knows that I don't love attention on myself. I love it on Breakwater, but not on myself. So, but I'll say each one was really meaningful at the time.
Yeah.
The most meaningful right now to me, like sort of where I am now, and that I have some, teeth in this and have grown this business, is really being recognized by the Horn Entrepreneurship School at University of Delaware and being involved in that. It's called the We Hatch program, that's really helping mentor and educate young women entrepreneurs.
Wow.
Not just young, all women entrepreneurs in any walk of life. And they also say intrapreneurs, even if you're in a big company, but like how to innovate and succeed. So I love being part of that. And I definitely hope to be part of that, more involved in that, doing, speaking or whatever I can do to help them. Because that's, I've been through it. I've learned so much. I want to be able to share all that with others.
Well, if you had to give someone that's looking to start a business, particularly a woman looking to start her own business, what advice would you give to her?
I think, well, definitely doing, really knowing and having clear ideas on what your key mission is going to be, what your key principles are going to be, but also trusting your gut. Don't listen to all the naysayers. No, this is going to be horrible. Oh, this is you gotta trust yourself and believe in yourself. And go for it. And then just surround yourself with people who can help you and have strengths in areas you don't, just so that you can get it done.
Yep. That's great advice, especially the naysayers part, and I can't tell you over time, be like, oh, this is a bad idea, or you'll never make it, or this is going to be hard. And, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and it sounds like you did this, are constantly willing to take giant bets on themselves and say like, well, I'm actually in control of this. So if it works out, it's my fault. If it doesn't work out, it's my fault. So, being able to sort of go through that maze of negativity, which is in direct conflict with how Breakwater is now.
Right, exactly.
So word on the street is that you're a pretty nasty tennis player. Huh. How often do you get to play?
Well, let's just say that those people where you've heard that have great memories. I have not played tennis for way too long. I loved playing tennis, and gosh, I definitely haven't played while Breakwater has taken over my life. But I have enjoyed also watching my daughter Abby play and go through that. Now she's in college and actually graduated. So
oh wow, congratulations!
But I love watching tennis now. Now I'm starting to get invited to play pickleball, which I think is for old people. But I might try it because it sounds fun.
I will say my 72-year-old father-in-law recently picked up pickleball. So I don't know what that says. But
paddle tennis, I love racket sports, so I'll definitely be getting back out there.
Yeah. So when your daughter was playing tennis, were you like super coach mom, or were you like in the back, like, hey, talk to me or ask me for advice if you need it?
I was not super coach mom. I was definitely, I loved watching it. I think I was more stressed. Like I'd be on the sideline, like playing the match on the sideline. So but I loved it.
Yeah.
But I let her, because they do things so differently now. Like that, what my, back in the 80s, my tennis strokes would now no longer be acceptable to.
So what you're saying is you have a tennis swing fit for pickleball.
Exactly. Or ping pong. I'm a good ping pong player.
There you go. That's a very difficult game. I'm not very good at it. So speaking of your daughters, if you had to, what's one thing that you're hoping that your daughters see what you're doing and take with them into their professional careers?
Well, I just think have the confidence that you can
Yeah.
do whatever you set your mind to.
Yeah.
And that you don't, if you are knocking your head up against some wall or something and you have a vision, that you can actually make it happen.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay in that environment. You can make something on your own.
That's great. Yep. Very
And
true.
I think that does go a long way, especially for women, like just to see it. They just need to see that, yep, this can be done and they can do it.
Yeah. That's great advice. Any hope that they come into the business?
Well, my oldest is very creative and in the fashion world, so I'm not sure accounting really. Although I'm sure she'd help us out with our marketing, but I don't think that she would love accounting. Maggie, my youngest, is a business major, and it thinks that she would like to take over Breakwater right when she graduates. So that is not happening. So we'll see what happens. Maybe she'll love account. She's a sophomore, so maybe she'll love accounting, and maybe she could be a rock star, but she'd has to go somewhere else first and then come to us.
And come back. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, actually, how did you even come up with, where does the name Breakwater even come from? How did you come up with that?
Long story. I had no idea how hard it was to come up with a name, but the inspiration of what I wanted to do for Breakwater came from I wanted to relieve business owners' stress. That is something we deal with every day. I wanted to do that, take things off their plate, help them, set them up for success. And where my blood pressure goes down is Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. I've been going there all my life. Okay. I go there. It's just the water is just calming. And so that was kind of inspiration. So as I was talking with people and talking through names, and I wish I could find my list of all the different names we talked through, because that would be comedy, but it was hard. So it went for months. And then Kim Dolan actually was meeting with me at a coffee shop, and we were talking through brainstorming. And then an hour later, she sent me a text and said, look up the definition of breakwater. And I looked it up, and it was I was wow, that's it. It was protecting from the force of waves. I was oh my gosh. And it was, related to water and Hilton Head. And it was oh my gosh, I really like that. And so we sort of kept going back to that over the next couple months. And finally we're this is it.
That's awesome. Yeah. It is very difficult to come up with a name for a company.
Oh my gosh. I mean, but yeah, it definitely fits. And then finally we knew, we're okay, we're Breakwater. That's it. And never look back. But that was hard.
Yeah, for sure. Was there ever a time in the existence of Breakwater where you A, thought you weren't going to make it, or B, thought you had made a mistake by doing it?
No.
That's great.
No, I didn't even have that in my mind that we weren't going to make it.
Sure.
We just need to pivot if things were like I said, learn from mistakes, learn from it, pivot, figure out another path. And
again, you have control over it.
Yeah. And
so you never doubted yourself. That's great.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say it's been all flowers and sunshine.
Unicorns and rainbows.
They're bad days. It's a roller coaster. It's woo. Never that negative self-talk, oh, we're not going to make it. Never.
That's great.
You can't think like that. You got to think, what are we going to do to solve this and keep moving forward? That's
great. Yeah. The last question I want to ask you, I love asking people this question. So I always say that your future self should be able to get a visit from yourself when you're 20 years old, 25 years old. So you can kind of get advice from your future self. If you could go back in time and give your 25-year-old self some advice that you know now, what would it be?
I think that, just to realize that every experience you have is helping sort of create you and your path and your vision. And so you're sort of learning, you're not going to just have all the answers at age 25.
True.
Just take every opportunity, even if it's a bad opportunity, bad situation, learn from it and keep learning and growing. And then eventually it may be when you're 47, but decide, you'll figure it out and it'll be like, okay, this is what I want. This is who I am. And it'll be just really clear, but don't be worried if you're 25 and you're not sure. There's a whole wide world out there, not sure exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
Just get as many experiences as you can and you will figure it out.
That's great. Yeah. I love the fact that you were 47 and you started your business and now you're ready.
I can't believe I just said that out loud.
Well, Lee, this is great. I really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you so much. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about Lee and Breakwater, go to their website at breakwatercorp.com. I am going to, so this Cape May Brewing is really coming into its own. I really like some of these beers. I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5. So this is a good beach beer, I think. So,
and it's called again, what is it?
Always Ready.
Always Ready. I love that name.
Yeah, it's definitely appropriate. And then finally, if you want to connect with me on the Untapped app, my username is brcarney7. To learn more about how our firm helps business owners with their financial planning, visit riversedgeadvisors.com. And finally, to hear past episodes of the podcast, go to happy-half-hour.com. Lee, thank you so much, and cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Happy Half Hour with an Entrepreneur, sponsored by Rivers Edge Advisors. For more information on how Rivers Edge Advisors can help you, visit their website at riversedgeadvisors.com. If you'd like to connect with Brian Carney for business advice or just to share a beer, follow him on Instagram at riversedgeadvisors_LLC.